Today's episode is going to be called A Taste of Home. And for our listeners out there, that is in reference to this cookbook or this cooking magazine subscription thing. And I don't know if this is like a national phenomena, but it was like pretty popular in the Midwest. And in fact, I actually have a 3-ring binder full of these old printed out recipes that some of my very friendly coworkers gave to me when I was first married to help get me on my feet with a nice like cooking rotation. Um, way back when printing and swapping recipes was the way to go.
You can get the cookbooks. My grandma has I don't know, dozens of them for 10 solid years of just cookbooks. They got some pretty good recipes in there. I've been through them many, many times when looking for some dinner inspiration at her house. So they're a thing.
Yes. Okay, so have you seen the TikTok trend of younger ladies and they put on like their grandmother's like nightgowns and they're like, like the old lady nightgowns and they're like, but this is what got my grandma's bills paid, 5 kids, 30 years of marriage, like throwing it back to the old school. I feel like those cookbooks are basically like the nightie of the kitchen.
I'm just saying. Think about that the next time you guys are taking hours and hours to get ready for a date. You don't need that.
It's true. You just need these grandma nightgowns and Taste of Home cookbooks.
Yeah, a moo and a Taste of Home cookbook. You got it.
Moo. Yes, the moo. Oh my gosh. I forgot they were called that.
I'm just saying, and a good house dress. I am in my house dress era.
I do wish that they would bring back house robes, and I have seen some house robes like come back, but they're like sheer with like feathers around like all the edges, and I'm like, no, that's not practical. I need something warm. A wearable blanket.
I think that those Snuggies, I think that you're reinventing Snuggies.
Yes. Well, okay. Or was the Snuggie the modernification of the house robe?
Perhaps, but I'm telling you that I will just wear a house dress and I don't care. Like, I am telling you that I just buy a overlarge dress and I just wear it around and I don't care. I'll wear it to carpool and B is like, do not get out of the car. And I'm like, I wasn't gonna. No problem.
No worries. We are on the same page there.
You are good. Get out of the car.
Yeah. So Costco actually has these like fleece oversized hoodies, right? They're just like they're basically just like Snuggies that don't open. They're just giant hoodies that go all the way down to like your knees. And I got some for the kids and they freaking love them. Like I'll just see my son walk around the house after his shower in one. He's just like he's just living his best life. Yeah.
B is very anti-clothes and I think it's hilarious. Because she'll come downstairs wrapped in just a blanket, but have on like a full face of makeup. And I'm like, so I also am anti-clothes. Not right now because it's like 12 degrees, but but I also don't ever wear makeup. But so she'll be like full glam with just a blanket on and shivering. And I'm like, I feel like there was a way to solve this problem. And she was like, yeah, I'm just going to go back upstairs. And I was like, okay, also a way.
Yeah. She's like, yeah, someone needs to solve this problem. She's like, I don't know why. It's so cold outside. She's clearly not a cold weather human. She's like a warm weather human.
No, because we got the snow, right? And I was like, do you think it would be fun to go like skiing for spring break? Not that, I could take her this year. But she was like, no, I do not do the cold. Like that is terrible. And I was like, oh, well, okay. She's just like, I cannot imagine anything worse, Mom. And I was like, all right. Okay. So She's not going to be a ski bunny, so there's that.
That's okay. My kids are also, I mean, I think my kids would be. Okay, so I definitely think that you have to be like brought up in that environment to be a cold weather person, to like be a ski bunny. And I
Mm-hmm.
am not a ski bunny. I hate the snow. I'm not athletic, so obviously not raising my kids in that spirit. But I think they could be. I think they like the cold weather, but I'm not a cold weather person. I need to be in like 50 degrees is kind of like my minimum I'm willing to go.
Yeah, B is definitely, I think she could be maybe a surfer girl.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, she definitely has
Yeah.
like the abs for it.
She's ridiculous.
She truly
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. After this, I'll have to show you her professional, her meat pictures came back. So,
Oh my
yeah,
God. Yes.
they're
Oh my
really
God.
good.
I'm excited to see them. I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways,
So
so cooking
diving
though.
back in, yes, diving back into the meat and potatoes of the topics today. Um, so I think honestly, logically, that you have to eat like multiple times a day. Your family has to eat multiple times a day, and therefore you must like prepare sustenance for those times when you are needing to eat. But I think like realistically in practice, I was just like mentally completely unprepared for how much food I would just be making, like buying and making
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, they never stop eating. And you get it times two because twins. And like, you're like, okay, they need breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But nobody talks about the amount of snacks you need at all points. And they can go from perfectly fine to a meltdown because they're suddenly starving in like 5 seconds. So you have to have snacks on you at all times. Like, you're like their snack hoe. You are their snack
Yes,
hoe.
yes. And if that's not, like bad enough that you have to like tote all these snacks around, of course, your kid's gonna be like, oh, I want a snack. You're gonna be like, great, I'm prepared. You whip the snacks out and they're like, not these ones though.
Oh, sorry. I actually hate those now, even though I just ate the whole box
Yes.
yesterday.
Yes.
I'm
I
actually
just ate.
moved on.
Yeah, exactly. I
I've moved
just
on with
ate
my life.
3 Costco trips worth of this snack the previous like 3 months, and now these are no good.
Mm-mm. I hate them. How dare you?
How, how did you not know? How dare you bring these before me? Where's the
Yes.
silver platter?
Mm-hmm. And they are actually not cut into triangles, and these are clearly squares, and you're dead to me. So.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My son's like, there's no avocado on this sandwich, and I'm like, okay, you little fancy bitch. Like, we
Honest to
didn't even
God.
have
Honest to God.
like, yes, we literally didn't
Shit.
even get avocados in the Midwest until like 2006. Like,
Honestly, like the first time I saw an avocado was definitely in college, I think.
yes, it was just not a thing here, there,
No.
wherever I am.
Yeah. You don't know where you are. It's cool.
I don't know where I am. That's par
No,
for the
my
course. That's fine.
daughter has been obsessed with the concept of Uncrustables. Uncrustables. So I finally let her get a box from Costco, and she was trying to sell me on its money saving benefits. And I was like, it's not saving me any money, B. It's absolutely not saving me any money. It's like 15 cents for you to make a fucking peanut butter and jelly sandwich, where it was like $12 for you to have this box of Uncrustables. You can have this one box, and then you can just go back to making yourself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich the old fashioned way, because this is not it for me. Like, you can get online and you can look up how to make Uncrustables and figure that shit out. And she was like, but like, think how much money you're saving on bread. And I was like, again, it's like 15 cents for me to like buy bread, let alone like we can make our own fucking bread if we need to. Like, she was like,
Yeah.
well, that's kind of a lot of work.
Oh, wow.
So, she is a smart kid. So she, manipulated my mom and dad into buying her more Uncrustables, long story short. So now I have another box of Uncrustables in my freezer.
Okay, but is it actually manipulation, or is it just that magnetic pull that grandparents have towards just doing
Just
anything? for their grandchildren.
I mean, but, like, my parents were like, "I mean, it's not that big a deal. We'll just buy them for her." And I was like, "Oh my god, who are these people?" When I was growing up, they would have been like, "Why do you like? You're not getting this." Like the answer was no. My parents didn't even know the word yes until I moved out.
Yes, I'm like, I don't know who this person is telling my children yes to everything, but that's not the same person that raised me. It's like the literal
No.
opposite.
Yeah, like, oh, you guys, I wasn't aware you could say yes. I didn't know they did that.
Yeah. And I feel like I say yes a lot to the kids. Like there's very
Mhm.
few things that I'm just like no, right? Like just no. Like there's usually like a
Yeah.
reason why. Like they're pretty reasonable like in the things
Mhm.
that they ask for, but my mom's like, oh, just get it for them. And I was like, this is like a $25 pineapple. I'm not getting it.
I'm not buying that. I am not yeah. Oh my god. I can't even hardly like the only time we go to the grocery store with my parents is if they are picking up the check because I'm like, she does not need $12 a pound cherries, Dad. Like she does not need those. And he's like, I mean, like it's not that big a deal. She's like growing and it's cherries. Like she needs fresh fruit. And I'm like, does she need cherries in December? I don't know. I don't know that she does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
And my mom is like, I want to buy it for them. My mom is like, I want to do this for them. And I'm like, oh, okay. Must be
yeah.
nice. Thanks, Grandma.
Oh
But
God.
speaking of our parents and like where we came from, I think that actually has a lot to do with the way, like the how we cook, like the way that our food tastes. It just influences like a lot of like just like every aspect of like how we cook, what we cooked, like what the things that we buy, the things that we know how to work with. Um,
Mhm.
so I think I really want to dig into that today is like, how is it that, we run a cooking Facebook group, right? It's got like 3,500 people in it. Like we've been running it for years.
Mhm.
And I just revealed like one of my lifelong secrets to you a couple weeks ago in that I didn't know how to cook shrimp.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. She is a fraud.
I am a total fraud. Total fraud. I was like,
I was like, what do you
I was
mean
like,
you don't
it's
know how
too
to cook shrimp?
hard. I don't know how to do it.
I can't. I just was so shocked. I was like, what do you mean you don't know how to cook it? Like, it turns colors when it's finished. Like, it's the easiest thing.
And I was like, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. It seems really hard. I like sent you like a recipe and I was like, look, I think I can do this. And your reaction was
Lackluster, I think, is the polite way to.
like, so I was like, I think I can do this. And you were like, yeah, anyone can do it.
It was a sheet pan recipe, and the
Was.
sauce was unimpressive to say the least. And I was like, okay, yes, I believe in you.
Yes. Yeah, especially
um,
the sauce was like a fake remoulade sauce. And like even the
yeah.
poster was like, this is not a real remoulade. And you're like,
Mhm.
100% that's not a real remoulade. And you're like, I'm from, got family from the South. And I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
perhaps I shouldn't have shared this
Yeah.
one.
I just so Nicole is from the Kansas City area, and I grew up in Oklahoma, and but a lot of my family, is from close to the Gulf, and so I just have always grown up eating a ton of shrimp, and so when she said she didn't know how to cook shrimp, I was like, what do you mean you don't know how to cook shrimp? Like, you like I've always had like shrimp boils, and during Royal Red season, I can eat so many Royal Reds that it is an embarrassing amount. And even the summer I went and saw my brother and his wife and their new little baby, who is just the sweetest little cutie. And I wish they lived closer. They live in Florida, but the I literally just went to like a shrimp boil place, a fish boil place, and they buy from the docks and then they just cook it and you leave. You don't get to like sit in the restaurant, or maybe you can. I don't do that. Like I don't need people to witness the carnage that happens. I just got an unnamed poundage of shrimp, and I
Mm.
ate it over the sink like a Neanderthal and just like crack the shells open, like you get whole shrimp, and I just ate those bad boys, and it's so messy and delicious. Just delicious. And you get the potatoes with it. Oh my god, I am just
Mm.
God, I wish it was summertime right now. But yes, so I was just very surprising. I just I forget that added distance between the Kansas City area and Oklahoma probably does not make the drive to the Gulf as reasonable. So
Yeah.
maybe, yeah.
I mean, people are definitely they're doing that drive sometimes. They're doing it like, that's your like one family like beach vacation,
Mhm.
or like spring break or whatever, but it's not like an easy let's hop in and go for a long weekend kind of drive.
Yeah, like where was your like spring break destination? Like the most popular one?
Let's see, we did not Corpus Christi. What's the other? South Padre Island?
Padre?
Padre. And
Yeah,
then
you guys didn't
like
have like shrimp boils down there?
we didn't know better. We were like freshmen. We did not know.
Yeah. You did not know about the shrimp boils. Interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so it was like
Oh, because you didn't
3.
go with grown-ups.
Right. We were literal children
Oh,
going.
I see. So when you were growing up, not when well, I'm not talking about spring break, woo, I'm talking about spring break with your family.
Oh no, that was not a thing. My parents had their own business, so we did
Oh,
nothing.
okay.
We didn't even have health insurance. So I didn't even play club soccer.
Gotcha.
Like
Gotcha. Gotcha.
when I say family vacation, I mean other people's family vacation.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So we went on like legitimate family vacations where like my dad's whole family would go, like my grandparents and his brothers, and we would go see other family members. So,
I think
yeah.
that's the thing. You have to have family members that live in other places to go visit them. And the majority of my family lived in Kansas City. So we were seeing each other every single weekend anyway, like meeting at my grandma's house, and she'd have a giant pot of like chicken curry or
Mhm.
tikka, which is like this braised and stewed pork belly. So good. It's like caramely. It's got like hard boiled eggs in it. So good. Um, and then like I was the oldest cousin that like lived in Kansas City. So basically it was like me and my youngest aunt just like wrangling all these like children in the basement of like my grandmother's
Yeah.
house, right? Like, and then everyone was like, okay, we're going to like Sam's Club. Bye.
I mean, I was also the oldest cousin. Huh. So there's no shrimp in your family cooking? I'm
There
just very
is. There is
okay.
shrimp in my family's cooking, but I was not cooking it. My grandmother was. I was wrangling, so I never learned how to cook the shrimp because I was wrangling. And when I say wrangling, I mean like literally torturing my younger cousins.
Amazing. This is amazing. Yeah,
Right?
no,
So,
my mind is just blown. But you know how now. This is the important takeaway here.
yes, the important takeaway is that now I know how. I
Mhm.
know that it's very easy. And like honestly, I don't know why I waited so long because shrimp is literally like one of my son's like top 3, like one of his like top 3 favorite foods of all time. And I've just been like not making it. I've just been like buying it already made, which is ridiculous now in hindsight. I understand the errors in my way.
Yes, I
And
will say she was afraid of overcooking it, and there is nothing grosser than rubbery overcooked shrimp. So there was some legitimate. I get it, but
yeah,
also
yeah.
incorrect because you only had to like fuck it up once, and then you would have never done it again.
Oh, absolutely. And like it's so easy to like not mess up.
Yeah,
So
I was literally like, well, it changes colors, so you'll know when it's done.
yeah. I was like, yeah, but can I trust it? And you're like, yes, that's the sign.
It's literally.
And then the other shoe fell last weekend. The other shoe dropped
Mhm.
when it turns out that I didn't know how to make chicken
She
wings.
can't cook wings. She can't cook chicken wings. So her Midwest card is revoked, and she's officially a California girl because who in their Midwest mind cannot make fried chicken?
There was,
Fried chicken.
listen, I think I might also get my California card pulled because, you know, wings is universal. People seem to love wings everywhere except for in
Because they're delicious.
they're okay. They're okay.
I mean, I was having a time with some chicken for a minute because of my migraines. But I'm back on the chicken train now because I got my migraines under control currently. So you're incorrect. I love chicken wings. Buffalo, garlic parmesan, delicious.
You know, I made those two flavors. I made those two flavors and a barbecue with my daughter had picked out the barbecue sauce. We have like a secret stash of like Kansas City barbecue sauce like in our pantry. And so we're like, okay, it's time to pick a new barbecue sauce. And so she picked Fiorella Jack Stack and then that's what we used for the third flavor of wing.
Okay. So I'm about to get my Midwest card revoked here. I don't love barbecue.
I mean, okay. I will give a pass because, you know, I feel like it's like Kansas City barbecue and then like Texas barbecue, and there's not like Oklahoma barbecue. Although one of the best barbecue spots in Kansas City, and I would say it's like a relatively like newcomer in the last like 15 years, is a place they've rebranded now to Kansas City Joe's, but it was called Oklahoma Joe's. And for the old school people who, you know, like knew Kansas City Joe's or whatever, you know, it's never going to be Kansas City Joe's. It's always going to be Oklahoma Joe's forever. Just like Sandstone Amphitheater is always going to be Sandstone.
Oklahoma Joe's is like literally a mile from my house, and I have a feeling it like broke off from there probably.
Is it a gas station?
No, it used to, like, Oklahoma Joe's is like a restaurant. So I wonder if they were affiliated at one point in time. It's like right up the road from my house.
Oh my god. Okay, so this is how you'll know.
Place.
The meat is exceptional. The meat is so good, but the sides suck. That's how you'll know if it's really Oklahoma, like the OG Oklahoma Joe's.
So I don't know because
you don't like barbecue.
I'm really picky. So my family makes the best ribs, right? So I'll eat that. Also, my family makes the best brisket, and I'll eat that. Like,
also, your family grows their own beef.
Facts on facts. But yeah, so I'm just really picky because I grew up eating delicious ribs and brisket. So when I go somewhere and they don't have amazing food, I'm like, what is this shit? Like,
yeah. I mean, I'm gonna say a lot, like, when you don't have like good ribs, when you like, and like barbecue is like where you take a cut of meat that's maybe not like the best cut, but you make it really tasty. But I think it's like really hard to like make a not good cut of ribs good. Like you can make the flavor decent, you can make them tender or whatever, but like you're gonna know if it's just like not a good quality animal.
Yeah, I like barbecue chicken typically, but I'm also Kansas City barbecue is a little sweet for me. I'd rather have spicy. So
yeah, I do tend to lean towards the spicier sauces as well. Yeah, and we're trying super hard to sort of like recreate some of the flavors of Kansas City out here. And not that there's like not decent barbecue out here, but it's like obviously not as like prevalent, right? As like Kansas City, we can like, you can't kick a pebble without like hitting a top 5 national barbecue restaurant.
Is it Carolina that's like vinegary?
Yeah, it's like vinegar and like mustard, and like sometimes they have a white sauce, which I don't
understand.
No,
same.
I don't. Yeah,
and it's weird because I love vinegar more than most people. Like, it's a lot. I love vinegar. I actually don't need vinegar in my barbecue sauce.
Vinegar is in all barbecue sauces though, because it's like
there's
a ketchup base.
Too much.
Yeah.
Like, maybe that's why I don't love barbecue, because I don't love ketchup.
Yeah, because a lot of the sauces are ketchup based, so that's actually a good point. But
yeah, and it's too sugary for me. Yeah.
We'll have to do another episode on barbecue, maybe. On like, I don't
Maybe.
know. You're like, no.
So yum.
So
I'll
yeah.
try all the barbecue in Tulsa and be like, this all sucks.
I will
Get
say
sued.
though, small chances, but if the Chiefs go back to the Super Bowl this year, then Adam was like, let's do ribs, like let's do like some barbecue, which Super Bowl a couple years ago was like, was it last year? It was like Philadelphia and Kansas City. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we did like
Yeah.
ribs and we did like Philly cheesesteak sandwiches and not like all the regular like Super Bowl foods, but it was pretty fun. So I think he's kind of hoping for like the excuse of like going back to like Kansas City themed, which you don't really need a special occasion for. You can like make barbecue anytime, but
You can.
who doesn't love a
Also,
good thematic party?
I'm gonna have to root for my baby Baker, so sorry.
Baker Mayfield?
Yeah, Boomer Sooner Forever. What's wrong with you?
Oh. Okay. I see.
Yeah, that was tough for the Eagles, though. They played terribly. Ugh.
I know. That
What can you
was,
do?
and then everyone was like focusing on like Jason after the game, like how sad he looked, and they're like, oh, he's gonna retire, and then he's like, oh, I might not retire, and everyone's like, well,
Adam Schefter is such an asshole. Like, I think he should be banned from the media. Like, he's ruined so many people's retirement announcements.
why do people like to be ruiners?
I don't like he basically like got Andrew Luck like booed out of Indianapolis and like forced him to like announce early he was going to do like a whole press conference. And then Tom Brady, there's like speculation that he only played that last season because Adam Schefter like announced that he was going to retire, and he was like, fuck that guy, I'm going to play one more season just because he said that.
Yeah, which I mean, at that point, it's just like an ego measuring contest because Brady really should have retired.
He really should have. Like, I'm not excusing him, but like,
yeah,
I might be willing to be that petty because I hate Adam Schefter. So, but like, yeah, it's insane. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, I love Jason Kelce, but whatever. I like, you don't need to get the scoop that bad that you can't let the man make his own announcement.
Right. I mean, every time I see him walking up to a new stadium, like a stadium for a game, like a pregame, the pregame like walk up or whatever, I'm just like,
in his flip flops.
Yes, in his flip flops. He's always sweatpants and flip flops.
Yes.
Every time I see him walking up, I'm like, he looks like that hurts. Like this all looks like it hurts, and he's only like 35, so
he is 36. He's my age. Yeah.
Yeah, but like when you're walking from the parking lot into your job, you don't look like you're 75.
Well, that's a lie. I do look like that when I first wake up in the morning. So every joint in my body hurts, but not because I have been playing professional football. It is because I have genetic knee problems.
which is another reason why you can't go skiing. That's a big one.
Yes. Yeah, I have skied a couple of times before, and it was a good time, but I cannot do it in my mid-30s.
Yeah. That was like one of the things the doctor told Adam when he was having knee problems. Is like, well, there's a few, you have to like restrict your activities. He's like, no, like if you're like a long distance runner, like no more running, no skiing, like no, like a lot of like jumping, things like things that would involve you to do like a lot of like strenuous. And Adam was like, oh, no problem.
Good.
Like,
tennis.
great.
I wasn't supposed to do tennis because you have to like change directions quickly.
Yeah, that looks like a ligament nightmare, honestly.
Yeah, I only have like a little bit of ACL left and like one knee, so
oh, God. It's gonna be no.
It's fine. So speaking of ligaments, This is actually just our, like, time to catch up. You guys are welcome.
Yes. You know, we actually have been trying to record this particular episode. Like, this is our like fourth trying to record this. We've just run into so many like technical difficulties. And I swear every
Mhm.
single episode before this one was much more on track. So
Yeah.
apologies.
But at this point, we're like, well, whatever. We're just saying what we feel like.
Yeah.
I literally have switched internet service providers.
Yes.
Like,
Apparently though the key is to record mid-morning when everyone is like at work because now the internet's like fine for both of us.
yeah. So
Who knew?
shout out to
Yeah.
that.
Thanks everyone at work. Um no, but I do want to go back
So,
to go back to like, you know, how our backgrounds have influenced our cooking, right? Like you mentioned that you had a lot of family down in like the Gulf area. Um,
mhm.
how first I want to know like how did they get down to the Gulf area, and then how did they get like go to Oklahoma? And it's actually kind of funny because even though you and I didn't meet until we were like late in our 20s, um,
Mhm.
it turns out that your grandmother and my husband's grandmother actually live in the same or lived in the same tiny town in the middle of nowhere, Kansas. Like, what?
Yeah. We were fated to meet. We were fated to
Yeah.
meet. Um, so yeah, so I know far less about my mom's family than I know about my dad's family. Because much to my mother's chagrin, I am not into genealogy. So, but my mother's family is French, originally, and then they moved to the US, and a lot of them settled in southern Louisiana, very far southern Louisiana. So far southern that if you live above the swampland in Louisiana, you're from the north. That's what they would tell
Oh.
me. They speak French Creole, basically, and so that is a thing. Hence the shrimp situation. So but the family that I am, but my grandma that grew up in the same town as Adam's grandma, they had a farm um, where she grew up in the town. And then she and her sister just kind of stayed there. But they kind of moved around the US with when my grandma got married, but then she eventually came back after she got divorced. And that's kind of my mom's childhood. But they lived in like New Mexico and they lived in Tulsa and they lived, in Garnett and wherever. They lived in Kansas City and they lived in Bartlesville and they lived in a lot of different places. I'm can't remember the name of the town. It's like slipping my mind. I don't know. They lived in a few places because he worked for the railroad, BNSF. Like he was pretty far up in the company, so he had to like basically go to all the major railroad hubs for a while. So, um, that was a thing. But he and my grandmother had a very contentious divorce. So, and then he passed away when I was about 2, but my mom and he were never close after the divorce. So, but my dad's family, so my grandma grew up in the western part of Oklahoma. And then I think my grandpa was actually there working on harvest. And they met and fell in love, and they have a very cute story. My grandpa was very poor, and she actually paid for their first date.
Oh, unheard of for the
And
times.
I know. Um, and he and all of his brothers grew up um in a very small town in Arkansas. Like the southern part of Arkansas, I think. My geography of Arkansas pretty non-existent.
Yeah.
But then he had a bunch of brothers. I think I don't know, 7 or 8 of them. He's the youngest though. and they all joined the military. So they
Where-
kind of settled all over the South, it feels like. But one brother ended up back in Arkansas, and then some in Georgia and some in Alabama, just like kind of all over the South.
There would be a lot of geographic history that like informs like the flavors that your family incorporates into like their cooking. And I feel like you use like a lot more like Southern terminology and cooking techniques and seasonings, um, than I do, for instance. Like when we were talking about noodles in a different episode, and I'm not quite
Yes.
sure when in like what timeline this is gonna like uh appear, but
Yes.
you kept calling them like slick dumplings, and I was like, what is she saying? What's happening?
Okay, I don't know. I don't know what if everybody has noodles at holidays like we do. But like we just call them, like, literally when I wrote down the recipe that we use, the recipe is called good noodles. Like, I don't know. And it's just eggs and flour and a little bit of baking soda and salt. And but I'm sure everybody is familiar with chicken and dumplings,
Yeah,
at
yeah.
least in the South.
Mm-hmm.
So there are two types of dumplings. There's slick dumplings and there's biscuit dumplings, right? So the
Yep.
noodles, when you boil them, they're a very similar consistency to slick dumplings. They're just cut thinner, at least at our house.
That's so interesting. I've never Okay, first of all, I've never made chicken and dumplings with slick dumplings. I've only ever made them with like biscuit dumplings. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, like I've obviously like seen them with the slick
Hmm.
dumplings, but I never like really realized that that's what was happening, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I get it. But yeah, but I use that when I make like, like chicken and noodle soup.
Hmm.
Like, I just, like, could use that and dump, like, like, if you have, like, a rotisserie chicken, you can just, like, use that and, like, dump the rotisserie chicken
Yeah.
carcass in there and then just pull out the bones and then dump some frozen carrots and peas in there and just call it good.
Yes. I think it's so interesting because there's so many like similarities across like cultural uh there's like so much like cultural and geographic distance, but at like the root, at the core of like so many recipes, it's so similar, right? So we have um a rice soup called jiao. God, I don't even know if
Mhm.
I'm saying that right. Like, sorry, Vietnamese people, like, don't come for me. I always just my whole family just like made everything like Americanized for me and my cousins. So we just called it rice soup. I'm so sorry. But essentially, it's like, yeah, you're making the chicken broth, and then you have the vegetables, and then instead of noodles, you put rice in and you let it absorb all the stock until it becomes really thick and the individual like rice grains like kind of explode a little bit. Like they're kind of like, they just kind of like popcorn, kind of like
Uh-huh.
um and it becomes like really thick and almost like not quite like a porridge, but kind of, right? And then you put like little toppings on it. But essentially that was like our sick day food. And it's like so easy to make. It's so comforting and like so hearty. Um, but it's basically chicken noodle soup with rice instead of noodles.
Yeah. No, that sounds delicious. I
But
love
it's just
that.
like, yeah, but it's just like, Vietnamese culture is like an entire like well, I guess there is that whole French overlap.
Awkward. Colonizers gonna colonize.
But you know what? It worked out culinary wise. I'm not talking about like economically or like any sort of like historical war
Humanity,
crime. Yeah.
treatment, yeah,
Mm.
you know how it's gonna be.
Setting all of that aside. That's a
Yeah.
lot to set aside. The food turned out.
Yeah, I, try so, my daughter, her dad is from El Salvador, So so I actually learned a lot from him about cooking and flavors and things, because he worked a lot in restaurants when we were together. And then plus I learned a lot about cooking from his family, his sister in particular. And then just the food he would make just from e- living with him.
Yeah.
And so my daughter and I talk a lot about like different, flavors that we use that like probably people that she goes to school with don't have in their homes a lot. Um, and then like things that we eat at home that probably she's not going to get if she goes and visits her grandparents. So
Right.
yeah, I would agree about
Yeah.
that. Like culturally, like particularly now, like our house is a real mishmash of stuff. Like I get like a lot of stuff from just the flavors from growing up, and then stuff that I've picked up because I've also worked in a lot of restaurants. I was a server in college, and then being married to my ex-husband, and then just stuff I picked up from the internet and our Facebook group that we admin that I've seen, and then other friends like you and my friend Crystal is a phenomenal cook. And she's taught me a lot of tricks too. So like you add MSG to anything, that's a pro tip, guys.
Oh
Delicious.
yeah.
Don't think MSG is the enemy. It is actually just delicious.
It is
So
there everything that has ever been said badly about MSG was all a lie. It's terrible.
no facts. My very first day in my biochemical methods lecture, my professor was like, MSG is literally just salt, so whatever you heard is not true. And I was
Yeah.
like, dead.
That is someone who loves some loves him some MSG.
It's true. Yeah, no, MSG is just flavor. So
It is.
you just
Yeah.
sprinkle that into some sauce and yes, do it.
Amazing.
No, and being in college, oh my gosh, I have never been so broke as I was in college because I was just, like I paying rent and like trying to not take out a million student loans. And so you get really creative. You get really creative with food and you start trying to figure out what you can throw together with mustard packets and like
Yes.
ramen noodles in the front, you know what I mean? So I think that really starts to help you get creative. And especially having the internet at our disposal and even things like TikTok now, like I still learn a bunch of shit from TikTok. Like I'm like, wow, oh my God, that's so smart. Like
Yeah. Where do you think I got
I
my shrimp recipe?
stop talking about the shrimp recipe. I'm gonna stop it. God. Anyway,
I see.
recipe.
One of us is more traumatized by this than the other.
I hope your family liked it.
They did. Well, except for Grace, but they loved it. The boys loved it. It was good.
hmm I'm very happy for them. Please get some saison and change their lives.
I have some. I haven't used it, but I have some.
Yeah, saison on shrimp is so good.
Mm,
Yeah, but I like the ability to expose yourself to different cultures now just with the internet is my favorite thing about the internet. There's a lot of negative things about the internet. I
oh
will
yeah.
say that. Stop using the internet just to be an asshole. Like, ugh, if
Never.
you
They
wouldn't say
never
that to
will.
somebody's face, like, don't say it online, like, because I will find you.
I think there's a fair amount of people that would say that to someone's face, though.
Okay,
Just saying.
that's fair because I feel like people would probably assume that I wouldn't say some things to people's faces, and I think we both know I definitely would.
We'll be wherever we are getting into fights. We'll be there together virtually.
You just want to watch me eviscerate somebody.
Oh, I've seen it. I've seen you verbally just tear people apart, and it's delightful. It's delightful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes people just need to know that they don't get to treat people that way.
I know, but how unfair How unfair of you actually to point that out.
They always feel that way, but I always feel good.
I know. Well,
Anyway, yeah.
that's another
So if
topic.
you're looking, it is. If you're looking to expose yourself to more cultures, I think that places like TikTok, where you can just literally search basic cooking skills, are really great. Or, you know, if you're not a TikToker, which whatever, stop being a snob. Like, TikTok's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, Instagram Reels, that probably has it, whatever. Or even like blogs. Like, sometimes I still look at old blogs that I've followed forever.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Tons of cooking
What
blogs are
is
still
that?
around. Like they're still
Once Upon a
kicking and doing great.
Chef. I love that. Yeah. Um, is it Spin with Pennies? I like her stuff too.
I think Budget Bites is a really good one.
Oh,
I've always
Budget
like,
Bites. Yeah.
yeah, followed that one for a really long time. Baked by Melissa. Her green
Yeah.
goddess salad went viral a couple years ago. It's a winner, honestly.
It's good. So Briley and I are always trying to eat a ton of vegetables, just because Crohn's and ulcerative colitis like run in my family. So I'm always trying to make sure that we have really good gut health, just for the future, because I'm always looking on that pipeline.
Yeah.
So I follow a ton of vegan chefs, and I recently read this paper. I think it was in JAMA, or it was actually a peer-reviewed journal. Do not come to me with some science bullshit, like non-science bullshit, because I will destroy you. So, but it was like, if you eat more than 30 different plant groups, like plant-based foods, a week, you're less likely to develop GI issues later in life. So that's kind of my
Interesting.
2024 goal. Yeah.
That's a lot of
So
different
it doesn't matter.
plants. There's a lot of different plants. Because like, is it
But
like
if you think about
families?
it,
Because like
no. Like,
broccoli.
just,
Okay.
But if you think like rice, wheat, you know what I
Oh, okay.
mean? It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was gonna say like
Yeah, you
broccoli and
got it.
like Brussels sprouts are like the same like family, but
But
does it count
that's
as like
two
one or
different.
two? Okay. Okay.
Two. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Okay. It
So
seems doable.
it does. Yeah. So I've been trying to focus on that quite a bit. But yeah, so I follow a bunch of vegetarian and vegan chefs. But yeah, I think that just trying to make food fun post having kids has really shaped my cooking a lot. But like, growing up fundamentally gave me that foundation, and then that's what gave me my love of cooking, I think, is showing, like, knowing how much joy it brings. See, I think I know that love languages are bullshit, because it was like created by,
A man.
you know, the patriarchy, like, basically as a way for him to like get laid more, and that is legit. You guys can look that up.
Gross. Because he's like, oh,
But
it's
like,
my love language is obviously just touch, which is just sex.
touch. Yeah, it's just sex. Like, my love language is sex, and if you don't give it to me, like, you're just denying me my love language. Shocking. Anyway,
Gross.
some men are truly terrible. But my love language is genuinely like gifts, like gift giving. Like, I love giving people the perfect gift, and like, one of the ways like I show my love to people is like feeding them. Like, I love cooking for people and like them loving it. It like feeds my soul. And so like, that like fundamental love of cooking definitely comes from that. So like, when I learned something new, and like I made tofu balls the other night, I like showed you the recipe, and B was like, "Oh my god, this is delicious." And it was like really like spicy and flavorful. So I was like, "Oh, this could be hit or miss," because sometimes B doesn't like that strong curry flavor. But she was like, "Mom, this is good," and literally ate like 3/4 of the pan of it. Was like,
Amazing.
oh my god, I am such a rock star parent. Like,
That is,
like,
yes, when your kid enjoys your cooking and enjoys your food, there's like not a better feeling. And I don't know if that's like at the core of like our caretaking, like id brain that's like, okay, we gotta like take care of our kids, right? Or if it's just like something else, but it just hits you right in the feels.
Yeah, like I love that feeling. So I think that evolution from those taste of home cookbooks all the way to this like TikTok tofu bite recipe that I found is just like it reminds me of that meme where it's like the blue head and it's like the gold sparkles. Do you know
Yes.
what I'm
Yes. Oh
talking
my God. Yes.
about?
Yes. I have worked in
So
cryptocurrency the past few years. And so for anyone who is not familiar with that particular workspace, it's nothing but memes, just memes. That's
on
the
trends.
entire industry.
So that's my current cooking journey is I just am trying to feed my child's body and my soul.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I think that's so accurate. Like, there's really like no, like, yeah, I like cook things because like I want to eat them, but I also, really express my love to my family through cooking good meals, like good for you, meals that they like and appreciate and just like really, really like love. So yeah, that's like the ultimate goal, I think, when you're like preparing a meal. Um, Adam and I kind of have this like running joke that I don't use love for my main ingredient when I'm cooking for him. I use spite, and that's what gives it the extra spice.
And he's welcome because that's what gives it flavor.
Yes. Yes. Spite is the flavor of life.
That's hilarious. No, I think because we're kind of similar in the way that like the words aren't as easy, but like everything I do is because I love you. You know what I mean? So
Right.
like they and like be like gets it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So yeah. So
Yeah, the
they should
words are
appreciate it.
hard. I
Yeah.
mean, absolutely. Like, I know that acts of service is definitely the way that my mom showed her love to me and my
Mhm.
brother growing up. She would work so hard. She worked so many hours. She worked so many different jobs to provide for us, make sure that we were taken care of. We always had food and like, we like had some hard times growing up, but she never really made us feel like it was our problem, right? Like she would just work harder to make sure that we
Mhm.
always had like a delicious meal on the table, clothes, et cetera, et cetera. And so, but like, my family wasn't really big on like hugs or saying like I love you or telling people that like we appreciate them. And so to be able to like maybe give a little bit of both of those types of affection to my family, I feel like is already like a bigger step in like breaking that
Yeah.
generational like, you know, to like
Yeah.
give that love in a variety of ways so that whichever way my kids like absorb that, I'm providing some avid like I'm providing like some hopefully uh
Balance.
yeah, some ways for them to absorb that
Yeah, I'm
through
trying
cooking.
to, but I'm definitely better. I'm definitely better at cooking than the touchy feely words.
It's hard. But you can do it. I mean, I think like we have like really because I'm also like very like because I didn't grow up in a touchy-feely household, I get overtouched like very easily. And so
Yeah.
um now if my son is like very sensory seeking, right? So he
Mhm.
prefers he like just it comforts him to have that additional touch. Um and so I think that over the years we've like developed like a good system where he's like a 2-minute snuggle and I'm like yes or no, right? Like and so he asks and then hopefully like I'm at, usually when he says like 2 minute, my brain is already like, okay, I can do like, you can do 2 minutes. You can, um,
Yeah. The
so it's
time
just,
limit is super helpful for my
yes,
poor overstimulated ass.
yes. So establishing those boundaries, has helped
Mhm.
us. And like, that was kind of unintentional. It was more like, okay, you can snuggle for 2 minutes before bed, right? When he was like 2 or 3 years old before he even like knew what 2 minutes was. And it just sort of like evolved into like an actual realized
Request.
healthy boundary.
Good job, Rockstar.
Unintentional benefits.
Yeah, B, so she used to only touch me basically because she's very introverted. So, and I am a no toucher. I don't like touches unless you specifically request it. So that was really hard for me for a long time. But she has really become more and more self-contained as she's gotten older. So, and I've noticed in the last couple years that she needs less and less. So now I have started like hugging her more because if I don't initiate it, she won't. So like this morning she kind of had a rough morning where she is about to hit puberty, so I have a feeling that she's about to start her period any day now. I am on the lookout. And she is like, so this morning she was crying, like she threw an outfit into the hall, and I was like, hey, what's going on? And she was like, I hate that. And I was like,
Oh.
all right, should we pick something else? And she was like, fine. And I was like, oh, all right. I was like, is there anything I can do to help you? And she was like, no, I hate all of my clothes. They look dumb. And I was like, okay, all right. I'm going to go downstairs and have some coffee. You let me know if I can help you. And she came downstairs and she was just like slowly crying, like the saddest
Oh,
sad
yes.
tears. And I just like gave her a hug and didn't say anything. And she just like sat there for a little bit and she was like, okay, I'm ready. And I was like, okay. Like,
I don't know.
God.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
It's a lot.
In
Like I was like, I don't know what to do with this. Like I am not a crier. I am not a like I was just like, oh dear. Like
you did
first of
good.
all, like yeah, I like well because like there's never been an outfit that looked anything but perfect on her.
Right.
Like,
Right.
but I
I
knew
know.
I did a good job and I knew that that would not be helpful.
I know.
Like,
Yeah, I think that's also another interesting thing to point out is that sometimes the thing that your child needs the most is just for you to be there, not to actually like fix anything or say anything or do anything, just be there. And I don't know that
mhm.
our parents
Got that memo.
necessarily, yeah, because they were just like, well, what do you want me to do about it?
Oh my God. Yeah, in that exact tone of voice. Like, well, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like, well, I don't need you to do anything. I just need it would just be nice
yeah,
for you to just
yeah. Just
be
let me
physically
feel
here.
this for a second. God.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was
Yeah.
like, all right, well, ah.
You did
Just
good.
gonna
Oh.
back away slowly. Like
No, I think
you're a
that's really good.
T-Rex.
Their vision is trained on motion.
Oh my God. Like having, so she's about to be 12 like next month. And it is like a wild animal, folks. Like I am genuinely terrified because I feel ill-equipped to deal with this age. And I don't know if it's because I have zero experience. Is this how people feel when they don't have any experience with children at every age? Because I am so sorry for making fun of you, right? Because at this age, kids don't need babysitters. So I don't know how to deal with this age because I've never hung out with kids this age, right?
Well, I don't think anyone's prepared for this age, right? Because it's so unpredictable.
It's so unpredictable. Like we'll just be having a good time and suddenly nothing is okay anymore. Like I'm
I
like,
have heard
"Oh my
this.
God, I'm so sorry."
Yes. Yes. We have, and luckily, like, I don't know, like, I don't know if it's like luckily or not, but I think, we're starting to like see glimpses where like everything's fine and then all of a sudden everything is not fine. And I'm like, did something change? like what's happening? And Chris be like, I don't know. And I'm like, oh,
Oh, it's the I
okay.
don't know. And I'm like, yeah. And you're like, oh, that's okay. I mean, that
Yeah.
is okay. It is all right. And we can just be for a minute. It's okay.
Yeah.
And she's like,
Which
it's embarrassing. And I'm like, it's okay
we're
though.
at
Like, it's
home.
just
It's
me.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah. No worries.
Which honestly, if I didn't have friends like you, and I've got another friend, JJ, who has a daughter who just started college this year, like if I didn't have you two with older daughters, I would just be like, I would be so confused. I would literally be like, well, do I need to fix something? Like I would really try to get to like the root of the problem, but there is no root.
There's nothing. It's
There's no
nothing.
root, there's no problem. It's just
It is
feelings.
so confusing. And like, so the thing is, like, my default when I'm confused is actually anger. It is not, in fact, sad. So, like, I do not react the same way as her. So I am constantly confused because I'm like, oh, okay. So your default is sad. Got it. Got it. Got
Yeah.
it. Got it. So
That's a great like observation that like what is your default emotion?
yeah, mine
I
is
think
anger.
mine's anger too.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure there's I'm sure a therapist would have a field day with that.
If anyone would like to volunteer their services to analyze us, help us, and then you can
Hashtag
like
trauma bonding.
yeah, and then you can share the results on the podcast. We welcome that.
Oh dear.
Well, okay, I do have an Am I the Asshole, but I don't know if we actually need it today.
I feel good. We got
Okay.
through the
Yeah, we
recording.
got through pretty good. We
Like
did it.
7th time's a charm. Lucky number 7.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us on today's episode. We finally did it. Fourth time's the charm. We recorded the whole thing. I'm so proud of us.
We
Thank
did
you so much.
it.
Yay.
All right, I
All right.
love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.